OCO, and welcome to the March meeting of Tsa-La-Gi LA. We are the Cherokees of Los Angeles, the official affiliate of Cherokee Nation. We're so excited. Even though we're not meeting in person yet, we're excited that we have a special guest, and we're going to be talking about something fun. Today, we're going to be talking about Cherokee music. And in a minute, you'll meet our very special guest. My name is Cynthia Ruiz. I am a tribal council member in Los Angeles. And let me introduce my team. We have Todd Banks, who is our membership coordinator. We have Helen McAllister, who is our treasurer. We have Lori Doctor, who is our secretary. And we have Pam Robbins, who is our historian. And so I would like to welcome you if you're with us live or you're watching this on demand. We are so happy that you made a decision to join us today. Now, we've been talking as a council, and we're excited because we're almost at the point where we're getting ready to have live events. We do believe that we may have to wait till summer to do that, but in this summer, we're going to have an amazing event with lots of culture, and we're really excited to see everybody because we really miss you guys. Well, like everything else, we start with a land acknowledgement, and I'm going to turn it over to Lori for the land acknowledgement.
Thank you. We're going to take this moment to recognize and acknowledge the Tongva people, the first people of this ancestral territory on which we gather, to honor and respect those indigenous people still connected to this land, to honor ourselves, our future and past generations, and to honor our Mother Earth. It is imperative that we commit to actions that serve to safeguard, to preserve, and to heal this treasured and essential land. Wado.
Okay, Todd.
Hi, so I'm the membership coordinator. So one of the things we've noticed is we've got a lot of members, but we've had, every time we send out an email, we get a few people, the emails get returned because people haven't updated their email. So please update your email to us. And I'll put it in the chat as well. But just so everyone has it, hopefully that's showing the right direction. Anyways, yeah. So please go to that email and send us a correct address so that we can include you in all future emails. So right now, if you go to our website, which you just had up there for a second, there you go. Anyways, if you go there, then you can just, on the spot that says get in touch with us, you can download the application. And it's just really simple to fill it out, send it to us. It's free right now. We would love to have you as part of the organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. And now we're going to turn it over to Pam to introduce our very, very special guest.
Yes, thank you so much, Cynthia. So we are very fortunate and very excited to have May Kay Henderson as our guest today. She's a vocalist and a women's retreat speaker. Her ministry is focused on encouraging the local church and importance of praise and worship and the victorious day-to-day living within Jesus Christ. May Kay's musical career in ministry began as a teenager at First Baptist Church, Muskogee, Oklahoma, where she was the leader of her youth group and choir. May Kay is also was a Goodwill ambassador in 1981 and 82. She was Miss Cherokee, so we get a twofer. So I want to welcome May Kay to our group, and we're so excited to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I bring you greetings from the Cherokee Reservation in Indian Territory or Oklahoma. And it's exciting to be talking with you all today about Cherokee music. I am not a first language speaker. My mother, who recently passed, was the youngest of her family, and her older siblings, probably you've heard this story a million times, went to the government schools and were punished for speaking our language. And so my grandmother, who was full-blood Cherokee, said, the baby's not going to learn this. I do not want her to be to be punished at school. And so she stayed home. She laughingly told me several times that she spent, I think, 1 week at a government school and cried so hard that they made her that her mother came back, because her mother said she cried so hard because her being the baby and being away. But the siblings were all very close, and but you could tell that part of learning the language and learning different things had really had or being punished for speaking their language that they had grown up with, took a toll. I have one short story. As I was learning the Cherokee language, I am not fluent by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll tell you more about how I learned and what I learned in just a second. But my uncle and I, we were watching my niece play a volleyball game, and he asked me what the score was. And I just turned to him and I said, "Sa-Ta." And he looked at me and his eyes got big, and he just hit his knee and started laughing and punched his wife. And he says, "She's Sa-Ta." And I realized that they had not been around that language since they were children. My mother was 70 when I began my journey of learning Cherokee. And I remember one day I came in and she said, "I've been thinking of a word that I heard, and I think it might have been my Cherokee name." And I said, "Oh, really, Mom? Well, tell me about it." And she said, "Well, I just remember them saying Hesti, Hesti all the time when I was around." And she goes, "Does that mean anything?" And I said, "Yes, Mother. It means stop or don't." I said, "It wasn't your Cherokee name. You were just into stuff. And so they were telling you to stop it." And so I'm sorry, I have my tissue here, guys. My nose has been dripping all day. And so I'll be kind of trying to ride herd on that today. In 1980, I became Miss Cherokee. I learned the first verse of Amazing Grace as my cultural presentation. Had no idea what I was singing, just sang the syllables. A friend that I had gone to school with, to grade school with, even grade school and junior high and high school, he and his sister, he started calling me, "Miss Cherokee, you need to learn your language." And he'd hang up the phone. "Miss Cherokee, you need to learn your language." And he'd hang up the phone. Finally, one day after I'd married and had a child, he and I ended up working at the same school. And I said, "Okay, I'm ready to learn some songs." And he goes, "Nope, not going to teach you any songs until you learn what you're saying." I said, "Okay, fair enough." So we started with Amazing Grace. And that's kind of a starting place for many people. And I have a little sheet that I send out. If you're interested, you can reach out to me at youthchoir@cherokee.org, and I can send you that and would be happy to. That would help you understand the meaning of those words we sing, because in actuality, it is a song called Christ's Second Coming, or the Second Coming of Christ, depending on who you talk to. And those words do not translate Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. But they were taken back in the 1800s, and they heard the tune. The Cherokee people heard the tunes, and then they wrote their own words to fit the tunes. And you'll find several that happened because of early missionary contact on the East Coast. The Moravians and their missions, the Methodists and their missions, the Baptists, their missions, all trying to, at that point, maybe a lot of people have very different ideas on this, that it was something to be what's the word? I'm grasping for a word here. It was not something to be sought after, as far as this was the white man's religion, and they were trying to impose it upon the natives. I don't know. I think maybe in some cases that might have been exactly like it is now. Religion is a very personal thing. What you find, though, is that the Cherokees especially, I feel, and this is my opinion, that they took their belief system and their beliefs and imposed those words into songs that that match the tunes of what they heard that were being sung. Some of the same words are used in the stomp music. Crossland Smith, who is the spiritual leader of the Cherokee Nation, it was his nephew that was teaching me all of these Cherokee songs. A lot of them talk about heaven, Josan, or Galaladi, which is up there, or it can mean heaven also. But the one constant is the word Uneflanahi, or Uneflana. Uneflanahi means creator. And that belief system was already in the Cherokee people, of that there was a creator who created them, who created the heavens and the earth. So that music that started in the 1800s is still very alive today. The tunes, there's a song called Orphan Child. Have you ever heard that song? It's a song of comfort, and it's a prayer, and it says, for those who are without parents. And we've heard all these folklore stories about it being a song that we sang on the Trail of Tears. Might have happened. I don't know. I do know that when you look up the song Poor Orphan Child, you find the translation exactly as we have it in Cherokee, but it's played like a fast bluegrass sound. But it's from the Appalachian Mountains, which is where the Cherokee were. Former Principal Chief Joe Bird and I have had this discussion many times. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Was it the Cherokee singing Orphan Child and the Appalachian people heard it and wanted to make it their own? Or did they hear it and we wanted they played it and we wanted to make it our own? I don't know, but the translation from English to Cherokee is exactly the same. When we sing it, it's very slow. When the Appalachian people play it on their little mandolins and fiddles and things, it's very fast. In the 1800s also, the Methodists put forth a singing book. There was an almanac found, and I have a copy of it in my office. Several generations copy of it, but it was from 1837, I believe. And it teaches do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And it's written all in Cherokee syllabary. It teaches the song Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, all in Cherokee, all in syllabary. So our music from just the last 200 years has been very, I was going to say high tech for the area, for the time. My job is the director of the Cherokee National Youth Choir, and I've done that for 20 years. And I love it. We talk to the kids about music and how it came to be. We talk about the song Guide Me Jehovah, which says, Squatini Sesti Yehovah, take me by the hand, and Jehovah, Ela Diga Isai, as I walk down here, Jiwana Gathli you Ayan, Jatli Nigadini he. I am weak, but you are strong. Nigohila, Nigohila, forever, forever. Skisteli skesti yogo, be my helper, be my helper. The fascinating thing about that is, you think about those words. Those were words that had to have been sung on the long, long walk. I was driving with my husband down Interstate 40, and I had the youth choir CD on, and I was listening to that particular song. And I thought, the first time this song traveled from east to west, it was not in an air-conditioned vehicle with speakers playing. It was in the hearts and on the lips of our ancestors as we walk the trail. I have a picture behind me, and I'm going to pull it up and show you. It's my great grandfather. Let me get it. His name is mixed water, Amasuya, swirling water, mixed water. And he was 18 months old when he started on the Trail of Tears. I look at my little granddaughters, one 6 months, one 3 years, and it blows my mind. Because you saw in that picture, he was not 18 months. He lived a full life here in the Cherokee Reservation in Oklahoma and in Indian Territory. And those songs they had to be singing. If I was asked to walk from here to across town and it's cold, we had snow yesterday here in Oklahoma. It's crazy. Everything was covered. It was a beautiful day today. The sun is shining and the snow is melting. Daffodils are blooming. It's wild. It's crazy, but I can imagine trying to walk and sing. What determination, what strength, what faith, what courage our people had. And it came out through the music, through singing, Squatini Sesti Yehovah, Eladiga Isai. That's exciting to me. That's, to me, what the Cherokee music is about. There are songs that in any culture that have been written. George Vann has done a CD that is very wonderful of children's, like a little song about a quail, a little song about a deer, a little song, all these different things. And those are great. I hope to teach them to my granddaughters as they grow up. If you can, one interesting thing about Cherokee language and music is that if you learn, let's say if you learn the words to Amazing Grace or Christ's Second Coming, as we talked about in the beginning, you know the tune to Amazing Grace. But those songs, Christ's Second Coming, can also be sung to an old hymn called At the Cross. There's a different chorus that's added on, but the verses are all that same song. There's another song called There Is a Name I Love to Hear. Those, again, same verses, same words for the verses, but different tunes, different choruses for those songs. Squatini Sesti is the same way. Guide Me Jehovah is the same way. You learn that song and you can learn 10 more tunes. It's all about the meter of the music. Now, we also have songs that are not hymns that have been translated, but everything goes back to nature. Everything goes back to Creator and the creation. So I don't know. Am I going in the way you want me to go to talk about the music? Does anybody have any questions at this point?
So yes, you're doing exactly what we asked, and thank you so much. I'm like fascinated. So what I interpret what you said is that a lot of the songs were kind of like takeoffs of songs that they learned from the colonizers. Do you have any examples of songs that existed in Cherokee culture pre-Europeans?
I really don't. Number one, until just very recently, the songs that were sung around the fire, as far as in stomp dance or things like that, they were not shared in public. And they also, we were very careful. I remember 20 years ago, I worked very closely with one of the women who is very involved in her stomp grounds. And we stayed away from certain instruments whenever we sang. Like a turtle shell, we didn't incorporate that in because we didn't want those things to cross. Now, that line is getting a little blurry I've noticed that in the last 20 years. Crosland comes and he will sing over the group as he blesses at the beginning of any event we have. Crosland, I hate to call him just Crossland, but that's everybody calls him Crossland. But Mr. Smith is, like I said, he's the uncle of the young man and woman who I grew up in. And it was their mother, his sister, that was that really taught me the Cherokee songs that I know. And what I have shared with you is what I learned from her at the very beginning. Her name was Levada. And she passed away 3 weeks ago. And so we have lost several wonderful Cherokee women in the last 2 or 3 weeks here in Oklahoma. She was a full-blood Cherokee and lived in Dwight Mission as a child. So anyway, I have to speak her name because she was such a dear lady.
So what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I'll tell you what. I want my legacy to be, wow. I know exactly what it is. I'm just trying to figure out how to put it into words. Okay, I'll tell you. I was in a meeting with former Principal Chief Chad Smith, and we were sitting in his office and we were talking about the choir. And I said, I would like to get somebody to write down the melodies and put them in music form. He said, oh, you don't need to worry about that. We've got a new hymnal. It's fresh off the press. In fact, here, let me call. And he called somebody and got a copy, brought down the mock-up copy. And it was all syllabary. Then the phonetics and the translation in English. Not a note on the page. And I said, this is not a hymnal. I said, these are our word lists. I mean, these are just words. If you don't know the hymnal of a song that says, you know, if you don't know the tune, how do you sing this? And he goes, well, you just sing it. I said, okay. Our dear friend, Barbara McAllister, world-renowned opera singer. One of the most fantastic musicians I know. I said, Chad, if I hand this to her, she couldn't sing it because there are no notes. So my husband and I have started writing down the songs with notes. Now, we're not the only ones. A man named Bo Paris in Cherokee, North Carolina, who passed this last year due to COVID, or yes, a year and a half ago now, I guess. He had started writing and taking the old hymnal and writing it in, putting notes to it so that people could sing it and sing the different tunes, because he knew, I think, every tune of every song, or he knew somebody who did. And it's available now from Cherokee, North Carolina. I want anybody who knows music to be able to pick that up, put in a CD if they need to, or get it off of iTunes, however you get your music, YouTube, and be able to learn not only the tune and to sing it, but to learn what they're saying. I still cannot converse in Cherokee, but if I go to a Cherokee church and the preacher is preaching in Cherokee or praying in Cherokee, I can understand what he's saying. And that's really just come from the music. And so for anybody who has a desire to learn and has a love of music and a basic knowledge of it, I think they would be able to take that and run and learn what they.
So we have another question. So what is it like to direct the children's choir?
Well, you know, the old saying is it's kind of like nailing jello to a tree. It is the most incredible experience you would ever have. I had some great choir directors in my life growing up, and I've taken from each of them something, gleaned something, and tried to share it with my kids. And what I have found with those students, whether I push them musically or push their character to be exemplary, they rise to the occasion every time. And I think with our young people, we do not dream high enough or big enough for them, because they're going to do way more than we've ever done. And we need to just grab somebody, mentor them along. And if I get to mentor these kids for another 5 or 10 years, great. I would love that. I'm already seeing, this is the first year, I guess, that, or no, last year was the first year that we would have had one of my students that I came to be, that was in my very first choir. Her daughter was old enough to audition for the choir. I said, wow, I'm getting second generations. And but she decided not to audition after all. So we haven't had that yet. We haven't had that second generation.
So Mary Kay, I know that the choir was in the Macys Parade. How did that come about and what was that like?
Oh, wow. That was completely, that was outstanding. We did it in 2007 and 2013. 2007, we just got a call in 2006, right after Thanksgiving. And he said, I'm blah, blah, blah with Macys, the Macys program and Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I would like to invite the choir to be featured in the parade next year. What? And I think it had come from the choir was in existence. They started in 2000. I came on board in 2003. And so because they really didn't, there were 2 directors, an artistic director and a musical director. And they had no idea that it was going to take off and do what it did. They had other jobs. They were not interested in really being involved that much and it being a full-time job. And I will just tell you that at times it's way more than a full-time job. But somebody they had met early on while in New York had put the bug in the ear of someone at Macys that they ought to have the youth choir, because Macys does try to do a tribute to Native America every year within the choir. And we got some pushback from certain people, that we shouldn't be a part of Thanksgiving, that we shouldn't, again, those are all political things. And to me, my kids, the choir, our ambassadors, whether they be Miss Cherokee, whether they be little junior boy, Mr. Cherokee, we're goodwill ambassadors. We're just sharing who we are, our culture, and making the world more aware that we're still here. We're still here.
Well, I'm gonna have to work on getting you in the Rose Parade here in Los Angeles. I do
Wouldn't
know a few people, so I'm gonna start reaching out and hopefully we can get you here. So
all
our final question comes from April, and she's
okay.
asking about what were the traditional songs that were sung before the stickball game?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to have to just I don't know on that, April. I'm sorry. I will do some research on that. I tell you, Donnie Mackey, Donnie Squirrel, you probably could reach out to Donnie and she would know possibly some of those, or at least know where to point you in the right direction. That's who I would call. And in fact, I probably will call her next week now that you've asked that question and say, hey, I need to know about this.
And we love Donnie. And so I just, from the bottom of my heart, want to say thank you so much for spending some time with us. And do you have any questions of us? Or final thoughts?
I would love to make, as I mentioned earlier, available to you all, if you would love, for some of you who maybe would want to just get on a FaceTime call like this, or a Zoom, look at learning some of these songs and some of the tunes. I would be more than happy if that is something that you all would be interested in. That would be a great time and a great opportunity for you all to start learning some of the language. I have to tell you, my 3-year-old granddaughter, the very first day that I held her, I wanted to share with her something uniquely Cherokee. And I started singing the chorus, Ujati uwodu nani we nanani Igato jula sada josai Genani weka nananu goga Juodu hito dita nela. And I held her. She melted into my body, and I can FaceTime with her and she'll crawl up in her mother or daddy's lap. And they said, she melts. That's the only word we can use to describe it, is that she melts. And I sing that to her. And the other day I said to Thea, why don't you sing it with Cece? And we started singing it and she knew every word. Now that's amazing to me. We need to make it part of our everyday life. because we keep our language, we keep our culture.
Wow, that was beautiful. That song brought tears to my eyes. That's powerful. Wow. Let's give, Mary Kay a round of applause, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Mary Kay. It was beautiful.
Oh my God. And I'm going to turn it back over to Pam.
Okay. Hello again. We have another guest who's part of our council, and we're very excited because he is going to perform for us. Todd Banks has experienced a wide variety of musical styles as a performer and a writer. He began his classical training on piano at 8 years old, and after several years, he began writing lyrics and added bass guitar and the Native American flute. We are so excited. He's going to perform for us today. So the Native American flute and an original composition called Ancestor.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. So we tried this the other day, and the noise suppression on Zoom didn't really make it possible. So last night I recorded it. I'm going to share with you my screen. So the song is played on a Native American flute, which is on this particular one at least. And my first flute I got when I was just I don't know, maybe like 15 years ago. A friend of mine bought me one, and then I met the person who made it, and he made another one for me. And then I've got an Apache flute as well too, a drone flute. And usually when you record flute, you have reverb on it, you have chorus, maybe digital delay. And so this is a dry recording. So it's just me and the flute, so you can kind of hear how it actually sounds. And usually there's some kind of percussion along with it too, but no, we're going to just go acoustic here, no effects. And the song is called Ancestor, which I just got the name because it felt like a connection when I was playing it or when I wrote it. So I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. And all right, see how this works. Hopefully the sound will come through as well. I'm Todd Banks.
Wow, that was great.
Yay.
Sorry.
Okay, you can stop sharing your screen now.
There you go. I can't seem to unshare it here. Oh, there you go.
On the bottom, very bottom. Okay,
you
you got it. That was amazing, Todd. We have so much talent in our Cherokee culture, and that was just so beautiful. So as we all know, March is Women's History Month. So I would be remiss if I didn't take time to acknowledge one of my sheroes, Wilma Mankiller. As we know, she has been the only female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. She was chief for 10 years, and unfortunately, she's already made her transition. And she has just inspired so many women and the nation too. She's been, as far as I know, the only Cherokee to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So I just wanted to make sure that during this Women's History Month that I took a minute to acknowledge her. To close us out, Helen is going to say a prayer, and I'd like to dedicate this prayer to Mary Kay's mother, Maxine, that just made her transition. So take it away, Helen.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all for joining us today. So please share with me in prayer. Oh, great Spirit, who brought life, all life to this earth, we come with heartfelt thankfulness for the time we have spent together, the insights we have gained, for Mary Kay and for Todd, who uplift us with their music, their beautiful music. We are thankful, Great Spirit, for all the special people in our lives who have given of themselves to help make our journey in this world more joyful. And now we end our time with a Cherokee blessing. May each of you feel the warm winds of heaven blow softly upon your house. May each person who enters there feel the blessings that the Great Spirit offers. May your moccasins make happy tracks wherever you walk. And may the rainbow of happiness always touch your shoulder. And Great Spirit, we ask of you in humbleness to keep each of us and everyone we love safe in your care. Amen.
What the